You may have a wasp visiting your yard right now that has already been here before. Not another wasp. The same one. The one near the grill last week. Or the one that keeps hovering near the same corner of your porch every afternoon before disappearing again. Most people assume wasps move randomly, that they appear, leave, and never think about your yard again. But researchers studying social wasps discovered something most people never imagine. Some wasps remember locations with remarkable accuracy. They learn routes, return to reliable food. And under the right conditions, the same wasp may revisit the exact same yard over and over again without the person living there ever realizing it. Which raises a strange question. If a wasp keeps coming back to your house, what exactly made it choose yours? And what happens after it decides your yard matters? Because the answer may explain why one wasp sometimes turns into 10. Welcome back to Backyard Wasp Mind. If you're new here, subscribe before you leave, because what you're about to learn may change the way you think about every wasp you've ever seen near your home. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover explains why some people seem to have wasps every summer, while their neighbors barely see any at all. Number 1. The wasp you keep seeing may not be random. You've probably had this happen. You're outside eating, grilling, drinking coffee, and there it is. One wasp. Not aggressive, not attacking, just hovering near the same table, the same section of the yard. Most people assume just another wasp, but social wasps don't move through the world randomly. Worker wasps spend much of their lives doing one thing: finding food, water, sugar, protein. And once a location proves useful, many return with surprising consistency. That hummingbird feeder with a tiny leak, a trash can that doesn't fully close, fruit beginning to ferment near the fence. To you, these barely matter. To a wasp, they may become reliable stops. And here's where things get strange. Researchers studying wasp navigation found that some species build route memory. They remember landmarks, roof lines, patterns of shade, the shape of objects, which means something slightly uncomfortable may already be true. That wasp hovering near your patio may already know exactly where it is. And if you've ever had the weird feeling that a wasp keeps showing up in almost the exact same place day after day, tell me in the comments. Because once people notice this, they start realizing how predictable some of these visits actually are. But remembering a yard isn't the strange part. The strange part is why the wasp decided your yard was worth remembering. Number 2, your backyard may look completely different to a wasp than it does to you. To you, it's just a backyard, a grill, some chairs, maybe a bird bath. But to a foraging wasp, your yard can look like opportunity. In early summer, wasps search for protein, insects, meat, pet food, anything they can carry back to growing larvae. Later in summer, things change. And this is when many people suddenly feel like wasps are everywhere. Adult wasps begin craving sugar, fruit, juice, or anything sweet, which means a dripping feeder, overripe fruit, or even the smell left behind after cooking outdoors can quietly turn your house into a place worth revisiting. Not dangerous, not special, just reliable. And insects are very good at remembering reliable places. But this leads to an even stranger question. If wasps remember places, how do they decide whether you are dangerous? Number 3, a wasp isn't just visiting your yard, it's evaluating it. Every time a wasp enters your space, it's not just searching randomly, it's testing. Light, movement, smell, patterns. Wasps are extremely sensitive to change. A sudden motion near a food source can end a visit instantly. A repeated disturbance can make a location unusable for days. But here's what most people don't realize. Wasps don't just react to food. They react to risk consistency. And this is where things start to shift in ways most people never notice. Because a yard doesn't become safe for a wasp all at once. It becomes familiar in fragments. One visit where nothing bad happens. Then another. Then a pattern forms. And once that pattern exists, the wasp no longer evaluates the yard like a stranger would. It starts to recognize stability, not comfort, stability. That difference matters more than most people realize, because stability means predictability, and predictability means return behavior becomes efficient. Which is why some people begin noticing something strange. It doesn't feel like new wasps arriving. It feels like the same presence, coming back on a schedule no one agreed on. Number 5. The illusion of randomness breaks here. From the outside, it looks chaotic. One day there's a wasp, then none, then suddenly 2, then 5. But what's actually happening is not chaos at all. It's timing alignment. Wasps don't distribute themselves evenly across space. They cluster around reliable nodes. A place that consistently offers something useful becomes a node. And once a node forms, traffic increases without warning. Not because anything changed suddenly, but because enough safe returns accumulated to justify repetition. Number 6. Most people misread the escalation. They assume, if there are more wasps now, something must be wrong. But in many cases, nothing new has happened. The system simply reached a threshold. A single forager becomes multiple foragers. Multiple foragers become repeated confirmations. And repeated confirmations turn into a stable route. At that point, the yard stops being checked. It becomes used. And used locations are visited differently. Less caution, more efficiency. Which, ironically, makes it feel more intense to humans. Because efficiency looks like invasion when you're not part of the system. Number 7. This is why some houses feel always chosen. It's not about cleanliness or luck. It's about repeatability. Certain yards unintentionally create perfect repetition conditions. Same gaps in structure, same food signals, same timing patterns. To a human, that's just a house. To a wasp, it's a reliable system. And nature doesn't ignore reliable systems. It reinforces them. Final idea, what most people think of as a wasp problem is actually something else entirely. It's a memory loop, a small interaction that got repeated just enough times to stop being temporary. And once that loop exists, you're no longer dealing with visitors. You're dealing with return logic. And that's why the question at the start was wrong. It was never, why is a wasp here? It's, what made this place easy to remember?